Alright, well, we're cruising down the road, taking a little break from the bus build, taking a little break from motorcycle camping, and taking a little break from the kids being a part of the adventures. You might hear a lot of overhead noise. We have a kayak strapped to the top of the Xterra, and Aaron and I are going just on an overnight to the Finger Lakes region, Watkins, Glen, Sanford Lake camping area. It's going to be pretty awesome. Excited about that. Just doing something different before summer kind of comes to an end and we jump into homeschool. So we'll get some footage along the way, and hopefully you enjoy it. But this is a hidden gem we found out here in the Finger Lakes. Honestly, we moved out of New York 5 years ago across the line to Pennsylvania, and the thing that's so ironic is we've pretty much vacationed in New York every year since we moved out of it. And we grew up in New York, and I had no idea how amazing the Finger Lakes region was until I left the state. So it's funny, it's ironic, but it's absolutely beautiful out there. It's so much to see, waterfalls everywhere, gorges. Can't beat it. So we're gonna be doing that. We'll take you along for the ride.
All right, so we took off down Interstate 86, the Southern Tier Expressway, and just headed east towards the Finger Lakes region. We did a little internet search and found some roads through the Onyx off-road app. So just did a little exploring of those. We're not rock crawlers by any stretch, but it is fun to find the poorly serviced roads and just see what you may see. It's not Virginia, but it can kind of feel like it. After finishing this loop, which I think was called the Irish Hill Road, sounds right. After finishing this loop, though, it spit us out at our kind of first destination, which was the Sanford Lake Recreation Area. So we explored that a little bit, figured out what we were doing, and then decided to kayak the lake. So found the boat launch and got to work. If it had been 5 to 10 degrees warmer, we probably would have gone swimming, but it just wasn't quite warm enough. So after kayaking for a while, we loaded back up, and then we headed for Watkins Glen. If you've never been out here, the view as you pull in to these Finger Lakes regions, the views are just amazing. You see across some hills, and in the valley, in every valley, there's another lake. It's just epic. So this is the town of Watkins Glen, just a cute little town. We always just end up here, walking through. We usually end up at the same Mexican restaurant, which we did not get footage of, but the food was outstanding once again, and we were super happy with that. After a few hours exploring downtown Watkins Glen, we got back in the Xterra and we headed out of town up on the other side of the valley. Also epic views, as you can see here. And we found our way to the Blueberry Patch Campground, which is part of the Finger Lakes National Forest area. Little Xterra camping, Blueberry Patch Campground, Finger Lakes National Forest, near Watkins Glen, New York. We checked out Sanford Lake, we checked out Sugar Hill, and we ended up here at Blueberry Patch, which was another one on the list. So 15 bucks, and there's about, I don't know, 12 sites here maybe. So we got a few neighbors, but nothing too crazy. And just dropped a tree and chopped it up for some firewood, and we're good to go. After a good night's sleep in a pouring down rainstorm, we got up and got to work making coffee, which is an absolute non-negotiable for us, whether we are home or camping. No matter where we are, we always make sure we can make a solid cup of coffee in the morning, almost always with our mocha pot. Pretty much for 15 years, this has been our primary way of making coffee, and we love it. And it's easy to do when traveling. So that's what this is. There's just not much better than a cup of hot coffee out in the woods. When we were done with that, we headed back down to Watkins Glen because we decided we hadn't had enough, and we got to enjoy those same views I was telling you about in the morning. Coming down the mountain, looking across the valley, seeing Seneca Lake, absolutely beautiful. And then we hit one of the most popular little donut shops that the area has to offer. You can't go wrong with donuts. And then, because we had time, we decided to do a little bit of hiking. We weren't exactly dressed for it, but do a little bit of hiking through the gorge at Watkins Glen. There are not good enough words to describe what you see when you are here. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. I cannot believe I lived in New York for 30 plus years and had never visited this area until I moved out of the state and became a Pennsylvania resident. But this is a staple. You've got to visit it. You've got to see it. It's totally free, and it's totally worth the trip. If memory serves me right, this is about a 1.5 mile hike one way. 3 miles round trip, I believe. It's something like that. You can look it up. But there's a couple different ways to bypass that or shorten it, fit in whatever you have time for. But it is worth it, and we would highly recommend it. That's a view of the town. and this is a view as you approach the gorge. This video might feel short and sweet, but it packs a punch. It was an awesome adventure weekend. Actually, this was about 24 hours, but Aaron and I loved every second of it. It was relaxing, it was refreshing, and we can't wait to go back. We'll catch you on the next one.